Sorry this has taken so long to do another video. I mean, I think my last video on here was about a year ago, and the idea of this, I was going to post them quite a lot, and then I lost my camera, took my tripod back to the office, and that's just no excuse really. But then I was like, why am I not just filming these on my phone? So I've got you propped up against the window, nothing flash here, just sat in my office at home, back to do these videos. So I thought the first video I'll start with is talking everyone through the process of Drop It, how I came up with the concept, how my team developed the product, how we got it into Boots, and how we just launched it into Walmart, into the USA, and how we kind of manage production, how we manage forecasting, costings, kind of everything, I reckon, because this is kind of big scale now. We have a product that, yeah, is really mass market, and I think in the last year what's kind of happened with the business, we obviously were first jewels and glitter and everything, which we are phasing out completely, and we launched hair dye, and then lockdown happened and everyone wanted to dye their hair, which is fantastic. So it's been a weird year. I'm sure everyone can appreciate that, and I'm sure whether you've been in a job, whether you've been in a business, it doesn't really matter. It's had its huge challenges. I'm going to try and ignore the last year in terms of what I'm talking about, just focus on the Drop It development and everything from there. So I basically came up with this idea of Drop It, probably about 3 years ago now, and I was speaking with, I think it was Gemma, my old consultant, hi, who was telling me that you should definitely go into Wash and Wash Out hair colourants. And I was like, yeah, I love the idea. It's definitely festivals. It's really around festivals. So we started doing some research, and I just knew that if we launched like a Wash and Wash Out hair product that was exactly like everything else in the market, I mean, what pitch is that? Do you know what I mean? Like, hey, if like, how I always think is like, if I was a buyer, what's going to get them excited? What's going to get them going? And for me to be like, hey, we've got a lot of followers, we've got a cool brand, but it's a product that already exists and you've already got this product on your shelf, stock me as well, they'll probably just be like, yeah, no thanks. So I knew I didn't just want to bring out like another product that already existed. So I didn't straight away come up with Drop It. I started doing a lot of research on Wash and Wash Out hair colourants, started reading reviews, going on different brands, reading the reviews, what people were saying about them. A lot of the reviews on hair dye was used it, did nothing, and that is kind of pretty much like one of the biggest issues that was in the Wash and Wash Out hair category, that your hair is so different. Like mine was bleached like 3 or 4 months ago, and it's not in the best condition, so colour will probably take quite easy to my hair, whereas if you've had it bleached a year ago, it might take a bit less. Do you know what I mean? So it's all dependent on like your hair type, yet we're just trusting this one product that you put on your hair to kind of work exactly the same and create the exact same shade as it would on everyone, and it just didn't happen like that. So I started testing out all the products to kind of find out what I liked and what I didn't like, and I realised that there was a couple of issues within kind of like this category in the industry. The first issue was you couldn't tailor any of the products to your hair type. So obviously my hair's bleached. If it was bleached yesterday and I put on like a colour, it would go a lot more vibrant than if it was bleached 6 months ago. So everyone's hair type is like completely different. So that made me think like, obviously this one product is saying it goes from this colour to this colour, but that's just going to change drastically on every single person's hair type. And 9 times out of 10 on mine, the pastel colours didn't show up, or they went really dark. And I never actually liked the colour that any of them created on me. So I was like, right, well, that's a big issue. The second issue was everything was single use. So nothing you could use twice. So, and they were all made out of plastic, and nothing was recyclable. Some were made out of recycled plastics, but then you couldn't recycle them. So that's kind of just delaying the issue in my eyes. So I had 2 issues here. One was the colour isn't what I wanted it to be, and 2 was the single-use plastic. So I kind of identified those issues and just like put them out on like a piece of paper up on my wall as like, these are the issues within this hair colour category. And then I kind of parked the idea for a bit and just had it in the back of my head. I wasn't like, I think one piece of advice I can give someone is don't be like, right, I've got to sit here all day and think of this next big idea, because it just doesn't happen like that. I have weeks, months, probably even like 6 months at a time when nothing comes to me, and I'm like, that's it, all my ideas have happened. So don't try and like force an idea. I think that's really important. But then sometimes, sorry, this is the guy that comes outside of our house and just plays music, which shut the window. Okay, now we just got a bit of a background music. What was I saying? Yeah, so then anyway, so then I notice when my head isn't in the right mind space to come up with ideas. I definitely don't just have an idea every second, like, no, I mean, people maybe do, but I definitely don't. I know that I've got to take myself out of situations, usually out the office, out the home. It's a bit harder at the moment. But at the time I was like, right, I'm just going to get into town and just wander around, put my headphones on and kind of get some inspiration. And I was in Fred Aldos in Manchester, and I was just like looking down the aisles, and then they had these like ink pigments. And I was just like playing around with them, and I was like, these would be so cool if we could do what, like if we, actually I've missed out an important fact. Sorry, before I got to this point, had some meetings with some factories, and they basically told me that Wash and Wash Out hair colour is like a conditioner mixed with a pigment. So I was like, okay, that's really interesting. So I think that was a big fact for me, actually understanding more and learning more about the actual product. So I did my research about what's on the market, and then I learnt more about what the products actually are, if that makes sense. So I had meetings with factories, I delved into like ingredients and things like that. And I tried to understand exactly kind of what makes up these products. And the lady just said to me, yeah, so basically all a Wash and Wash Out is a conditioner and a pigment mixed together. And I was like, okay, well, that's really interesting, thank you. And then 2 weeks later, or whenever it was, I was in Fred Aldos, and that's when I saw these ink pigments. And then that's kind of when I had that light bulb moment of like, oh my God, like that would be sick if we could take the pigment out the Wash and Wash Out, just have a bottle of pigment, you add it to any conditioner, you add in like, I don't know whether all these ideas came at once, maybe it's staggered, I think, months and months in the development process. But then you can adapt kind of the amount of colour you put into them, so you can make it light, you can make it vibrant, you can tailor make it so it's perfect for your hair. Like it's multi-use, so it's the only product out there that actually finally is multi-use. And then that's kind of where it happened. So obviously having an idea is great, and then you're probably thinking, right, well, what's next? So we were fortunate enough, myself and Danielle, who is my amazing product developer, one of my really good friends too, we've done a lot of trade shows. So trade shows are all around the world, and they're where manufacturers go to, like where manufacturers go to showcase what they can make, and you basically just meet a load of manufacturers. So we'd gone to the one in Asia, and we just met loads of factories. I think this was after I'd had the idea. So we did have a vision of what we wanted to do at this point. And then we just started kind of sending it out to all these factories, and went from there really. Out to so many factories, got in meetings with them. We developed it with one factory for a year, and then we still couldn't get it there. And then we finally, after about so many attempts, had one factory that just got it right. And that's kind of, then that's when you start kind of doing all the bottles, the packaging, the box design. So I have graphic designers who create our packaging, we create mood boards, we understand what it kind of wants to look like, and then we work together to kind of create the perfect packaging. Then you start to get samples and stuff like that, and then that's kind of how the product came about. But it was about like a 3-year process. But the big thing with the hair dye industry, it was the minimum. So like if you want to get into hair dye, if you want to get into makeup, you're talking 5,000, 10,000 minimum units, usually per colour as well. So we had 6 colours, and the minimums were huge. So I knew that we couldn't just launch this on our website because we'd just be stuck with so much stock. So then what I did was, we realised, myself and Charlotte, who's our MD, so we kind of worked together on kind of getting in retailers. So we put together, again, our graphic designer put together like an amazing deck on like the pitch. So like, I mean, Charlotte will write out like what we want to say, and like how we want to look like. And it's like an amazing deck that kind of explains exactly what your product is, what your product's going to do, who you are as a brand, what you kind of want to target. And then you kind of literally pitch it to buyers. So we kind of did that, and we pitched out to a lot of buyers, and we managed to get some meetings in, which was amazing. We went down to Nottingham and actually went to head office at Boots, so we met the Boots buyer, and this is before we even had a product. We just kind of pitched in the idea, and they loved it basically. So they kind of gave us a massive chance as a brand new brand in that category to kind of put us into. So we went into 500 Boots stores. So to get into a retailer, you've then got to have all your paperwork and everything. And I think one of the biggest, not mistakes, but like something we didn't do that well going into such a big retailer was, well, we didn't know demand. We had no idea. It was a brand new product. We had no idea of demand. We'd forecasted what we thought would sell, but we obviously oversold when we got into there, which I guess looking back probably couldn't have been helped. And I think with lockdown and everything, that obviously had factors that no one could have predicted. But then that's what made me realise I really need a merchandiser, because we're kind of trying to do like this maths that it's just a guess game, and I think when you actually don't understand it. So then that identified, right, I need a merchandiser to come on board to kind of take this away from us worrying about whether we're forecasting it right. And what a merchandiser will do, they will look at sales week on week, they'll look at your factory lead times, and they will kind of do a big forecast and make sure you're ordering stock correctly. So then that's what we brought on. So now we kind of have a perfect smooth running, touch wood, with like the big brands like Boots. So at the same time we launched into Boots, that's when I kind of started, well, we all started pitching out to America. So we were pitching to all the brands again, just kind of like going directly to the buyers with the decks, going in with sales data, so telling them how successful the launches had been when we launched the product, and trying to get them like really excited as well. And then that's when we managed to get the calls with the buyers from Walmart. So that was a year before we actually launched. That was such a long process. Just kind of making friends with these buyers, keeping in touch, trying to give them updates on like the sales, and just trying to get them excited. I guess in a sense my job and Charlotte's job probably is quite salesy, but you don't feel like a salesperson when you've developed the product and you love the product. But I guess that is probably a big part of kind of what we do. We've got to kind of get it into the retailers, and I think if that's the stage where you're at and you're really unsure about that, it might be looking into someone who has sales experience or account management experience that has worked with retailers that can get you into retailers, or you just might feel like you can do it yourself, which I always promote, try. And if you can't, then hire that person. So then that's where we are. So we have literally just launched now into 1,200 Walmart stores. To do that, we had Scott obviously come on board, who is a merchandiser, so he's managed to forecast and find us a 3PL in America. So we have a warehouse over there, which is amazing because at the moment our warehouse and our offices are all in the same place in Manchester. So to have something over there, and it's just so legitly perfect. Like they've got the trucks, they've got everything, like they're just a massive warehouse with huge systems, which we want to get to in the UK, but we run everything ourselves in the UK. So yeah, it's just really exciting to kind of see it all work and how it's all kind of built up and how everything kind of slots into place. And then yeah, that's kind of where we are. And then so to kind of back all this, we have to do like a massive, and what Charlotte, our MD, has been working on is like a huge, with the rest of the team, a huge marketing plan to kind of launch us into America. So it's all great getting into these brands, but at the end of the day, you don't just want to get your brand into a store and fingers crossed hope it'll sell. You've got to have a marketing plan to kind of make sure that you're going to get in there and it's going to, you're going to get in there and it's going to sell as well. So that's kind of the stage we are at now. We're implementing the marketing plan and we are ready to kind of drop it into the US like crazy. The Drop It story, and I don't know if that was helpful for anyone or not. I just kind of brain dumped you all on kind of the process, how it all happened. And yeah, and I think the big things are, I guess, to take away from this video, because I always like to do something like this, you understand what to take from my experience to put into your experience, is if you are looking to develop a product, something if you're trying to think of an idea, look at the market, test everything out there, find out, read reviews, see what is wrong about what's already in the market, find the mistakes there, find the mistakes in the products, see what customers are saying, write them all down and try and fix it. That is how you're going to come up with something revolutionary, because I really think, again, if we had launched just another head, we might have got into some retailers, because I do reckon our packaging would have been pretty cool, but I don't think it would have been as successful as Drop It has become. So I do think spend that little extra time, spend some money on the research, buying the products, and just, yeah, do your research and don't force it. Like, but do understand when you're not having creative thoughts, I guess. So like, don't force the idea, but if you're sat there thinking, I can't think of anything, go, right, well, maybe it's my environment, maybe it's my mood. What do I need to do to take myself out of this? Do I need to go for a nice long walk? Do I need to just meditate or something with a calm app? I know that I always do that, just when I'm like, I've got my head's all over the place. Sometimes you just need to kind of stop, especially right now, because everything's quite a lot. So I think don't put over stress on yourself, but yeah, just go for a walk, put your headphones in, and let the ideas kind of come naturally, I think. But yeah, thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm going to do more now because this was so easy. I mean, the edit's probably going to be terrible on it, but it's just my advice and me talking, I guess. So but yeah, let me know what else you want to see. I am going to do a video next about how I launch Refy, because I've had a lot of people kind of asking me what I do about that, what is my involvement, and kind of where the brand started from, and obviously everything in between. So yeah, that's going to be the next video. But yeah, thank you so much.